this regular council meeting of February 10th to order. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda with an item that isn't included on the public agenda, and that is item 9C, parks planning. And so if we could add that. It's requested by Councillor Glorioso and discussed with myself after the Wednesday cutoff.
So we have 9C in the agenda.
Item 9C, yes. Moved by Councillor Holland, seconded by Councillor Knoll. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion is carried. And I have a motion to adopt the minutes of the regular council meeting held 2005-01-13. Moved by Councillor Glorioso, seconded by Councillor Lang. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion is carried. And a motion to adopt or approve the minutes of the regular council meeting of January 27th. Moved by Councillor Glorioso and Councillor Holland. Any discussion? All those in favor? And the draft minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting held 2015-02-03 be received. Moved by Councillor Lang, seconded by Councillor Knoll. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion is carried. All right. And there's a note here that the accounts payable matters raised at the previous meeting are addressed under number 4 below. And so we have no delegations, so we'll move into business arising from the minutes. So 4A is accounts payable for January. And the recommendation is that the modified accounts payable summaries for January be received for information. Moved by Councillor Lang, seconded by Councillor Glorioso. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion is carried. 5, correspondence. The letter dated 2015-01-28 from Kaslo and District Chamber of Commerce be received for information. Moved by Councillor Knoll, seconded by Councillor Lang. Any discussion? Councillor Holland?
Yeah, so I'm trying to determine if there's a request that they might want us to follow up on. It says that they're asking that we participate in their goals and objectives for 2015. But the only thing I noticed is that in the paragraph before it says the goal is to become economic driver of the village and area by providing a business plan, and we want to collaboratively work locally and to promote Invest Coogee. So is this an invitation from the chamber to participate in Invest Coogee? Is that the intent of this letter?
Well, we have appointed representative to the Chamber of Commerce, so I think that's his Councillor Knoll's responsibility to advocate for the village on behalf of the village. So,
Councillor Knoll?
Well, I mean, my agreement or with the chamber is by invite, but I have gone to the last meeting, and from what it looks like, that's how I took it in that respect, to join Invest Coogee. Or just maybe not join, but just to promote it.
Councillor Holland?
So it's not very clear. Maybe we could ask them to clarify their letter saying that we support their goals and objectives for 2015, if they would identify what the goals and objectives are, so that we know what they're asking us. If they're asking us anything, or may not be asking us anything. I can't talk about it. Okay.
To me, there isn't a direct request. It sounds like there might be something forthcoming. There was a session on Friday morning where representatives from Invest Coogee were in attendance. So perhaps they're discussing, they're having their meeting right now. So there might be something further coming at the meeting. So is there any further discussion on receiving that?
Clarification on the letter, is that?
So, okay.
We need a motion for that, or?
Well, we've got one on the table, which is to receive it for information at this time. So if you want a subsequent motion, we can deal with that afterwards. Okay, so I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion's carried. Subsequent motion?
Yeah, I'll move that we ask for clarification to the chamber on what goals and objectives for 2015 they would like us to support.
Move for discussion.
Or second for discussion?
We have an appointee, and that's Councillor Noel. I think it's the role of Councillor Noel to discuss it further with the Chamber of Commerce. And not the village asking for clarification, but direct Councillor Noel to ask for clarification, to clarify objectives, etc.
That's exactly what the motion does.
I don't know whether that addresses what you were meaning. I think you were intending that Councillor Noel would go personally and do that.
Because he is our representative to the Chamber of Commerce.
Councillor Noel?
Well, my agreement with them is invite only. It's not very typical that a member of council sits on the chamber, in the chamber meetings. So, I mean, when I read this 2 days ago, it seemed clear to me that it was just a generalized statement of support.
But as I understand, you are an ex officio member. You cannot vote. You can contribute in the discussion, but you cannot vote.
Exactly.
And as an ex officio member, you can represent the village and ask for clarification on the issue or on the goals that, or what they want us to do or expect us to do.
I technically could do that. What typically, it usually creates a little bit of tension between the chamber and the council from other municipalities. I looked into that, whether that's something that a councillor typically does in most, especially big centers. They don't come near the chamber.
See your last comment?
You can be ex officio on the board if invited by the chamber board to sit ex officio on the board. But if they hadn't, you're simply available at their invitation.
That was the last contact.
That was my comment. And I guess what I would add just additionally to that is it's completely appropriate for council or Noel to be representing a request from council at that meeting and receive the answer and bring it back to us. But it should be directives from council, not council or not.
Can I have you read back the resolution so we...
Then ask for clarification on their request for 2015 goals and objectives.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. Right. Communications for information. Is there any councillors wanted to vote? For further discussion? Okay, seeing none. I recommend that the circulation package be received.
Sorry, I wasn't clear whether, are we actually part of, are we a member of that FCO?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's all.
So can I have a motion that the circulation package dated 2015-02 10-day received? And that was Councillor Holland. Moves. Councillor Moore seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Committee and staff reports. Report from the administrator. So we'll have the administrator give his report, and then we've got 3 resolutions coming out of that.
Okay, first, largely for the benefit of council and also the public, After considerable work with the Ministry of Finance and the school tax auditor, it's been mutually agreed with the surveyor of taxes that the village owes combined school and police taxes unremitted from payments in lieu of taxes as stipulated in section 118 of the School Act of $117,042.42. This figure represents an unfortunate oversight that dates back to the mid-1990s, but only came to light during the 2013 external audit. In 2014, the village repaid $37,395 of the unremitted taxes and has now signed a letter of intent that the remaining $79,647.72 will be repaid over the next 6 years with simple interest continuing to accrue. This is the best outcome that could be secured from the province, given that immediate payment in full could have been requested, generating significant hardship for municipal finances. Procedures bylaw. After some discussion within the staff, we're collectively requesting the opportunity to review the meeting procedures bylaw as time permits and present some recommendations to the committee of the whole. While the bylaw was updated fairly recently in 2011, it's felt that both agenda structure and provisions with respect to select committees are in need of review and potential amendment. On the aerodrome, Council can find a copy of the request for expressions of interest in their package folder. Staff requests a final decision on whether to proceed with an advertisement. Corporate strategy. Council can find a copy of the draft corporate strategy 2015 to 18 in their package folder. This document, once approved, represents Council's key communication document to the public and other partners. It will be reviewed annually with progress reporting undertaken throughout the year. Kemble Building, the small meeting room adjacent to here won't be available for the month of February and perhaps some of March as staff prepare for external audit. This year's audit, due to staff changes last year and significant ongoing changes to the financial administration systems, could be longer and more in-depth than in previous years. And just a little reminder on the upcoming dates for you.
And there are 3 resolutions coming from that report. And the first one is that the meeting procedures bylaw be reviewed by the CAO and Deputy Clerk. Moved by Councillor Glorioso and seconded by Councillor Lang. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Second one is that the aerodrome request for expressions of interest be advertised as presented. Councillor Glorioso, seconded by Councillor Lang. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion is carried. And the last one is that the Village of Kaslo corporate strategy be formally adopted and placed on the website. Moved by Councillor Lang, seconded by Councillor Knoll. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion is carried. Right. Committee action items. And these are stemming from the Committee of the Whole Finance meeting. And the first one is that proposals be developed and submitted to the Gas Tax Strategic Fund for the completion phases of City Hall, the conversion of street lighting to LED across the whole community, and a capacity building asset management project. Moved by Councillor Holland, seconded by Councillor Lang. Any discussion? All those in favor? Sorry.
The statement, the conversion of street lighting to LED across the whole community, did we decide to do both Upper Kaslo and Lower Kaslo, or we just decided to do Upper Kaslo?
My understanding was it was both. You know, we could pare it down if it turned out in discussions with Fortis that it was too challenging. It would be more likely that Upper Kaslo would be dropped than Lower, because Fortis are having some policy challenges right now in the wake of the Castle Guard project.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion is carried. Okay. Second one, that consulting expertise is engaged to assist in the development of proposals in time for the April gas tax strategic fund deadlines. Moved by Councillor Knoll, seconded by Councillor Lang. Discussion?
Question,
Mr. Hall?
so would this be on all three of the projects or on specific projects?
The two major ones. The
Two major ones.
I think staff can probably do the third one.
City Hall and lighting? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion is carried. And that Mrs. Jill Braley be provided response to her letter, to her email dated 2015-01-22, indicating Council's continued support for resolution number 254/14, supporting the right to residents to choose whether or not they have a smart meter installed on their property. Moved by Councillor Knoll, seconded by Councillor Lang. Discussion?
Just wanted to briefly note for the benefit of the public that's a UBCM resolution. Just so it's our municipal resolution. Municipal.
Yes.
Excuse me? Oh, I thought it was UBCM.
No, it was just that we recall that there was a previous resolution regarding that same issue, so we're just basically reaffirming that. Okay, all those in favor? Motion is carried. And that the proposed design for long service plaque awards be approved. Moved by Councillor Glorioso, seconded by Councillor Lang. Any discussion? Councillor Lang?
Did we determine what long service was? Was my recollection that was minimum 2 terms. So we're agreed upon that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought so.
Councillor Holland?
Yeah, I'm going to speak against this. I think there's better ways for us to give awards or recognized service to the community than having granite plaques made for people. I think it's a little bit inappropriate. It's something that the individual will maintain individually. There's no public recognition in that at all. And again, as I read the committee whole, I think it'd be better to spend the money on a public recognition program rather than giving out granite plaques to individuals.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Would you like your negative vote recorded? Motion passes. And item C, staff report resolutions for Build Canada application.
A resolution is required for the submission of the Build Canada proposal before February 18th. 9 Engineering and Nelson have completed the budgetary elements of the proposal and now require formal resolutions for application submission. The recommendation below has been worded to allow the village to continue to explore other funding sources for its start, although it is likely that the third will have to be borrowed or taken from the Water Infrastructure Reserve. If the village is successful, the project will likely proceed in 2016.
So there's two resolutions flowing out of that, and that first one is that a municipal third of up to $116,358.67 be authorized for funding and execution of the Castle River Intake Project sourced from Water Infrastructure, Capital Reserve, borrowing, or other grant aid sources. And further, that the village will cover the cost of any ineligible project costs incurred during the planning and execution of the project. Moved by Councillor Holland, seconded by Councillor Lang. Discussion? Councillor Lang?
Just a quick question. Will the grant app be available for council to look at once it's complete?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Councillor Knoll?
And I remember we briefly talked about RDCK potential involvement with water infrastructure. Did we talk about that, or did I see that somewhere? That was on the controls project. Okay, sorry.
Councillor Glorioso?
Do we have enough funding for in our reserves, the Water Infrastructure Capital Reserve? It can go cover that.
Yes, the water capital reserve is by far the healthiest under the village. It's the one reserve that can tackle a sort of project like this.
And if so, what is the advantage of borrowing the money rather than taking it out from the capital reserve?
You have more money available in reserve for other eventualities over a period of time. Borrowing rates are currently quite low, so it's an option for sure.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. And item D, there's a staff report regarding garbage collection services.
A new garbage contract is required for its collection. The village's invitation for expressions of interest for the provision of municipal waste collection services yielded one response by the January 23rd deadline. Kootenai Waste Services has tendered a price for 624 hours per year of service of $33,795.84 per annum for the next 3 years. This equates to 8 hours of service on a Tuesday for residential collection and 4 hours on a Friday for commercial. Kootenai Waste Services have provided satisfactory bi-weekly recycling services since May 2014 on a fee-for-service basis, but I remain a little dubious that this service should be put out to RFP or tender on the grounds that the future of Castle's MNBC contract and the collection scheduling remains unsettled. So there's a couple of it's essentially one there.
All right. The resolution is that the Kootenai Waste Service Limited be awarded a 3-year contract for waste disposal services in the amount of $33,795.84 per annum, and further that recycling services continue to be delivered by Kootenai Waste Services on a fee-for-service basis for $450 plus taxes for 2015.
I'll move the question.
Okay, moved by Councillor Holland, seconded by Councillor Noel. Councillor Holland?
Can we have some clarification on the 455? Is that for the entire year?
No, that's per run. That's an individual run. My recommendation is worded in that manner to leave flexibility there in case council determines in its discussion to the regional district that further changes are.
Okay. Could I suggest just a friendly amendment to clarify, because it does read that it could look like it's for the whole year. If just a per column, what do you call it, a column or something?
Is the seconder comfortable with that amendment? Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Item E is a travel request for Councillor Holland, and this one was inadvertently missed in the past. And it is that Councillor Holland is approved retroactive travel expenses for attending Friends of Kootenai Lake and Kootenai Lake Partnership meetings on December 16th, 2014 and January 20th, 2015, with costs pursuant to municipal policy. Moved by Councillor Glorioso, seconded by Councillor Noel. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Director's report. And the resolution is that the municipal director's report dated 2015-01-28 is received. Moved by Councillor Holland, seconded by Councillor Lang. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Any verbal reports? Councillor Glorioso? I'm just going to go around the table to ask everybody.
Councillor Holland and I attended the emergency response meeting. I can't remember anymore. When? 2 weeks ago?
It's coming.
Yeah. It was very January, there's a meeting in
Excuse me, it's the 28th.
28th of January. And the sales manager, or no, Fortis, gave a presentation, and he explained what they do in case there is power outage, and what people can do in that case or in that situation, and who to contact. And our next meeting is
It's a long time.
after 2 months. They only meet 4 times a year. That was very interesting.
Thank you. Councillor Lang? Councillor Holland?
Yeah, the only thing I would add to the report on emergency services, I was there as an alternate director. The person, did you get his business card? I didn't get his business card. We could find out from Maureen. She invited, especially the village, but even local community, to contact him directly on his cell phone if there's a power outage, because otherwise it gets routed through somewhere. And he suggested that really it was better probably give him a quick call. He also let us know that the system's so automated that they know when something's down. So more than likely what you're going to get from him is an estimated timeline on repairs. So it's important we still phone in. But really, he pretty well assured us that when something goes boring, their system's totally automated. They know exactly where it is and what's going on. And it's just a matter of how quick they can mobilize a crew. The other thing, last week, sometime attended the Chamber of Commerce put on a job works program over at the Silver College over there. It's really good. It's very interesting. Invest Cookie did a pitch, and I want to sort of apologize to council for when I read the executive director's report, and in there she stated I'm on the board of Community Futures, and when she stated she was coming to Kaslo to do a presentation, I assumed it was for council, and that initiated council sort of make a support resolution on that. So what I'd like to say is probably that was a bit of a misfire, and if the council is interested in seeing Invest Cookie, then probably you might want to reconnect with them if council so desires. That's about it. Otherwise, it was a good session on opportunities for funding for local employers.
Further to that, we did make a resolution at the last one flowing out of the SEDS meeting to have a presentation by Invest Kootenai to the SEDS committee. So there's still a possibility of that happening. And I believe that you did have a discussion after that meeting.
I met with her subsequent.
Councillor Moore?
Not much, just Public Arts Committee, we're just trying to get organized, get our meetings. It's pretty challenging with that. Yeah, that's about it.
How big is that committee?
It's got to be at least, there's only 10 people. 10 to 12.
Councillor Glorioso?
I just want to add Councilor Holland's report that WPCAO has the contact number of that person. So in case of emergency, WPCAO can contact that person.
Thank you. So I attended a few things, and I was at the same presentation last Friday morning from Invest Kootenai and the Kootenai Employment Services. I think it was
Kootenai Career Development
Kootenai
Society.
Career Development, yeah. And that was, I've got some information on that. We can scan it to everybody else if they would like, just for their information. On Friday evening, I had a meeting with Audrey Reitman from Columbia Power, and she basically wanted to ask what it would be a good time for them to come and do a presentation to the community regarding a fisheries project that they're going to do because of the Juanita Dam project. They had to do some rehabilitation, and they've got the Lardo River diversion project, and it's looking like it will be near the end of February. So that will be worked on, and they'll come and explain the project and what the purpose of that is. And also, just as a reminder, the Belfort Chamber of Commerce on Monday, February 23rd is having a public meeting regarding the fisheries situation and the stocks. So they'll have the fisheries biologists there to talk about that. So all members of the public are invited to attend that if they wish. And that's at the Belfort Community Hall at 7 o'clock on Monday, February 23rd. And then today was the second budget meeting for the regional district. And then we had a short meeting with, what's her name? From Friends of Kootenai Lake.
Claire South.
Claire, yes. So a few regional directors, and she is trying to get a survey, funding for a survey of the waterfront all along Kootenai Lake and a management plan. So there'll be correspondence coming regarding that in the future. All right. There are no bylaws, so we'll go into new business. So water treatment plant controls project, and so we'll just, the CAO will give a little talk on that, and if there is questions, that if you want to ask questions in regard to the company or anything, we should either refer that to committee of the whole or to an in-camera meeting, so we're not discussing that with anything proprietary in public. So the CEO with an update on that.
Yes, this is coming to council a little sooner than I would have liked. The obsolete water treatment plant control software is beginning to show signs of possible failure, and staff are becoming concerned that the proposed control project should move forward sooner rather than later. Just today I had a report that the screens are not working. We're still getting a flow of data from the system, but this is a very important monitoring and automation aspect of the water treatment plant, and if it completely fails, we could be looking at a round-the-clock operation by our staff until a repair is possible. We thought we had a little longer. As some of you in council knew from the previous term, West Tech Controls Limited were recommended to village staff for their experience in this field during the summer, and they provided a detailed quote which we gather remains accurate. They're a fairly busy firm. This is literally their area of expertise, and they would need to be secured contractually fairly soon to ensure a 2015 implementation. The quoted price is below the TILMA threshold for the provision of goods and services, $75,000. The quoted figure is $69,125. So sole source of work is possible. The Columbia Basin Water Smart Program has agreed to allocate $36,825.71 of Council's programming surplus, and the 2015 amount for water conservation projects towards this project, largely due to further conservation projects at the plant requiring that this work first be completed. We can't get the more detailed flow analyses that our water conservation plan would like to see unless we deal with SCADA and the controls and the software. A contribution from the RDCK would further reduce pressure on the water infrastructure reserve, but we're at a point where we kind of need to get this work lined up. So I've got two options there, to award this work or to refer it to the next committee of the whole finance for further discussion.
So the recommendation is that West Tech Controls Limited be awarded a contract of up to $69,125 to execute the refurbishment of the water treatment plant's control system in 2015. Moved by Councillor Lang,
Second.
second by Councillor Holland. Any discussion? Mr. Holland?
Just if, I like that, if Councilor Lang really supports what he's reading here and what he knows of.
Well, the key element to this is if the computer crashes, the plant can be operated manually, but only with pretty much 24-hour-a-day input from the crew, and the overtime cost alone would eat us alive in a very short period of time. So we're better to press on and get this worked out, especially if we're getting $36,000 from Water Smart to offset the costs. So yeah, the system that's in place now was a system that was installed when the plant first was built. So it's 15 years old. So I don't know how many upgrades have been done in the last 15 years. I don't think very many. So this is a pretty, well, it's the brains of the operation. So we need to get it done.
Any further discussion? Councillor Lorenzo?
Can we not use the community works fund?
Possibly. Yes, you could, in the finance, if you want to discuss this further in finance in terms of the sourcing of the funds, that's a possibility.
So that could be a subsequent motion, could it not? Okay. All right. So, any more discussion on that? I'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Did you want a subsequent motion, Councillor Glorioso?
That we discuss the funding of the, how much is left? $34. Discuss this water treatment plant control system in our committee of the whole finance.
Motion, do you have a second?
Second.
By Councillor Holland?
Sorry, I missed that. It's being referred to? Referred, okay.
Yeah, just for the sourcing of the remaining funding.
My only comment is that if we're unsuccessful with Build Canada, then there would be money in ample funds in reserve, in the waterworks reserve. Anyway, if it's being referred, I have no problem with it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion is carried. Item 9B, City Hall fundraiser. Just wanted to bring up that last year we did a wine and spirit tasting at the Langham on the Friday of May Days, and just wanted to see whether there was an interest on behalf of council to do something to do something similar, but we would need, we had staff members assist very heavily with that last year, and former Councillor Leithwood took a large role in that. So it would require some time of any council members, or if council members could find members in the community who would be willing to assist with that, because I think staff resources are at a minimum given what's going on. So, Councillor Holland?
So I'd like to make a recommendation that we move forward with a similar fundraising event at approximately the same time of year, and that it be referred to committee to help us sort out the details. And part of that, the intent of that motion is that council approve us doing that, so the committee all has the authority to act on whatever they decide on moving forward. If council's agreeable with that, if they understand, we can give them authority to act on that without having to come back to council.
Second, Councillor Noel?
I remember hearing about this fundraiser. I didn't go to it. Was it successful?
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
That's a success in my mind. But it raised some money, yeah.
I believe it made about $1,000. And for a first one.
Mhm.
And it was enjoyable. We had entertainment. And, yeah, it was good. So moved and seconded. And so that's with the committee of the whole having authority to act. Okay, and all those in favor? Okay, motion is carried.
I'm sorry, I'm just back up. Do we need to set a budget on that for the expenditure? Because that would probably be something that committee, I don't know that we've authorized committee to hold it, so just being that we are, that's just a question.
No, you can budget to know for something.
So that perhaps could be under
Subsequent motion or referral back to the committee that holds?
maybe we could have staff provide last year's budget and what the costs and the income were, just so we have something to gauge it by for discussion on that committee of the whole.
Okay.
And then we can come back to council with a recommendation for the budget after that. Is that,
Yeah, as long as it doesn't hold things up. I'm not
Yeah.
real clear on what those timelines are.
is that a, just a
Go
direction
ahead,
to staff?
direction.
All right. Next item is parks planning. So discussion of suspension to current maintenance practices. And okay, did you want to speak to that, CEO, or did you want Councillor Glorioso to speak to that? Because that was an item that you had brought forward.
Well,
Must have been, was Wednesday. Because it was, we discussed it Wednesday afternoon.
Friday.
Oh, Friday, okay.
Yeah, Friday, a number of people called my home. I was at work at the time, and my husband received a number of calls, 5 or 6 calls. Some people identified themselves, some did not, and they were very upset. Some were very angry about the public works cutting down trees and uprooting the trees on the lake shore. And last year there was a presentation, or there was a delegation headed by Hayo, and he presented, or he made a presentation, and he was against what the public works did, or how the village managed the public lands, or specifically wetlands. So I called the mayor and went to see the CAO and suggested that perhaps it is the best way to deal this is to have form a public lands and open space committee that will be charged on identifying appropriate management practices that will sustain both the natural ecological function of wetlands and open space in general, and maintain the natural beauty of our landscape. That's my proposal. I would like to involve the public in decision making. The complaints is not unexpected because our community is quite diverse, and we are our economy is transitioning from traditional economic activities like forestry and agriculture to more amenity-based economy like tourism and second home ownership, and amenity migration. So these issues are not unexpected. So what we need to do is find a common ground, because we have different values. We value open space differently. And that would be the task of this committee, whether they seek assistance of a consultant or they do it. But that would be discussed by the committee and recommended to the village council. That's what I think, my suggestion.
Do we have a brief resolution that could come out of that? Councillor Holland?
Yeah, so if I hear Councilor Glorioso correctly, you're asking that a committee be formed to deal with parks maintenance or waterfront maintenance? Or open space maintenance?
More general, public lands and open space.
Public
and,
lands, open
yeah,
spaces. Okay,
it's
let's-
to identify how we manage public land and
Okay.
open space.
Well, I think if we get to the committee stage, then we can start kind of figuring out what the committee does, but for the sake of brevity here, we're looking for the possibility of establishing a select committee, as a committee established by council, to, again, the four words, keywords in there, to open space,
Public lands and open space.
public lands, open spaces. And probably, I think we're going to have to flush this out a little bit.
Yeah.
So why don't we, maybe if we take that and refer it to committee of the whole, or a more fleshed out recommendation to council on maybe even the terms of reference, and Councilor Glorioso might be interested in maybe trying to prepare something that the committee of the whole that we could flush out, and it's sort of form of terms of reference for the committee, and that, and then it can come back to council consider more carefully. So the motion is then to recommend the establishment of those four words that I keep forgetting for some reason. Committee to public space, open space. And I'll do that. If you don't mind, if you don't mind doing it. I'm totally fine doing it. Why would I go to Councilor Glorioso and do that?
Okay.
And I'll second.
Councillor Glorioso, seconded by Councillor Lang, or Holland, sorry. All right, any discussion? Okay, Councillor Lang?
You can go first.
Okay, Councillor Noel?
This might be a little bit extended of the conversation we briefly had yesterday about the land foreshore and all that. I mean, specifically the shrub removal there. I was down there today to have a look. Does that fall under village, or is that Crown? Is that RDCK on the foreshore like that, or who is responsible? Is that what this committee, I guess, will challenge and determine? That's the gray area.
And
There's quite a bit of uncertainty with respect to the land in that vicinity. Plus, council already instructed me to pursue a licence of occupation, community institutional on the lumber sports site. That's not the only Crown land in the vicinity. There are some fairly complex little areas to the south of there. Plus, you have all the rights of way cutting through. It's not a seamless block, which does cause some jurisdiction and right questions and then who's doing what, where, who should be doing it.
can I have Councillor Lang next?
I have a question for the CAO. Is the work that was scheduled to be done, is it completed at this point in time, or is there additional work anticipated?
I don't anticipate any additional work at this time.
I'm having a strong case of deja vu here. I noticed on this resolution, it was February 11, 2014, we were having this exact discussion. And at that time, I recommended that we plant some coniferous trees along the beachfront, and there was no takers. There was no enthusiasm at that time for that, and I'd like to recommend that we refer the purchase of some seedlings from the Harem Nursery to budget with the intent of finding suitable locations along the beachfront, because I don't consider cottonwoods to be a suitable species for along our waterfront, but I think it could definitely benefit by planting of some conifers. So that's where I stand on the subject. So I'm just asking for a resolution to subsequent resolution that we refer to budget.
It's a good idea, but what I'm hearing is that we probably should be, if we're going to talk about forming a committee to make a plan, then for us to jump ahead and make a resolution to do something when we're just trying to form a committee to make decisions regarding that would sort of be, those two things are at odds.
Yes,
it's definitely council's pleasure.
all I'm saying, my point is that tree planting season is a short window. I mean, and it's coming up soon. So if people are really anxious to see more trees on the beach, this is our opportunity. I'm totally support the creation of the committee and a long-term strategy to deal with this issue. But in the short term, I don't know if the committee findings will be available to us, in time to do any planting this year. So, but it's a council's choice, whatever they choose to do.
So on the first resolution,
But if you want to be formed to deal with public lands and open spaces with, in terms of reference to, we discussed the subsequent committee of the whole.
and I think you just mentioned now that that is one of our items in corporate strategy is the waterfront development plan. And as indicated, Friends of Kootenai Lake is looking at doing a study, and I believe we're having a meeting with the regional district with Director Watson on Monday, and there's also the desire on their part to have some planning. So it'll be a good idea to sort of meld all those things together. So that'll be something for discussion at the committee of the whole. So any further discussion on that item?
I just, one brief question, I did not get a chance to go in there. Look, are we talking about works that are being carried on below high water line?
Yes.
We are?
So it's wetlands.
That's all I'm saying.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. And a subsequent resolution by Councillor Lang.
Seedlings we purchased from the Harem Nurseries. Sorry, I didn't get the species there.
Well, fir trees seem to be doing quite nicely down there. There's a bunch of them growing around the skateboard park, so obviously they seem to be able to deal with the poor soil conditions that exist down there. So I don't know how many, and I don't know how much you want to spend, but that's why we refer it to budget, maybe get a quote and see what the appetite is.
You move to committee of the whole finance. Do you have a seconder for that? Councillor Moore? Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? carried. And item 10, accounts payable. Recommendation is that accounts payable in the amount of $49,703.96 be received for information.
Move.
Moved by Councillor Holland, seconded by Councillor Knoll. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion is carried. And financial report. Auditor engagement. 2 letters. And the recommendation is that correspondence dated January 26 from Berg Lehman regarding the 2014 audit process be received and the engagement letter signed and returned to the auditor prior to March 9th. Moved by Councillor Glorioso, second by Councillor Knoll. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. And there will be being no further business that the meeting be adjourned. Councillor Lang, any discussion? All those in favor?